Hello, everyone. This is Abigail Molina with Molina Law Group, where we freeze the fear of ICE by helping immigrants and their families arrive at a place of security and prosperity here in the U.S. We're talking today about the 10th anniversary of Daca. Where were you June 15, 2012? I personally was 8 months pregnant, super excited for this announcement to come out that was going to benefit so many young people and hopefully provide a path to citizenship. Now, 10 years later, my daughter's almost 10, and we've seen a lot of ups and downs for dreamers and still no path to citizenship. But we're going to talk today about some updates for Daca. We also have a special guest coming on here in a minute, so stay tuned for that. All right, Daca updates. There is a lot of talk about a July 6th hearing, and so I want to address that first. We know that Daca was put on hold and then it was back on. And most recently, it has been allowing for renewals, but not allowing for initial applications. So the hearing that is going to be happening July 6th is actually an appeal of a case out of Texas that is threatening to end the Daca program. So it's on appeal at the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit is going to hear the arguments on July 6th. Probably make a decision sometime in July or August, and that case will likely go on to the Supreme Court. So we're not looking for any decisions, any changes quickly to Daca based on that case because it's still going through the appeal process. And it could actually, we could see a favorable decision to this at that appeal. It could restart Daca or something like that. I doubt it. So more than likely, we're going to see this case advance on back to the Supreme Court, who's already heard Daca, who already reinstated the program several years ago. And since then, it's been ongoing, just a battle in the courts for this. So what we're also waiting for is the regulations that are supposed to be coming out. This program of Daca is an executive order. It's not a law. And so a regulation is a law through the agency of USCIS. And the Biden administration put together this regulation last fall. It had to go through a process of comment, and they've been reviewing those comments. We expected to hear something already by now for the release of the final regulation, which will turn the Daca program into law, essentially, but it still hasn't happened. So we're anxiously waiting for that, hoping that that will happen before any court case decisions happen. But meanwhile, we're still in limbo right now as far as the Daca program. There's other cases that are also ongoing throughout the country. So many attacks against Daca, but also a lot of support for Daca. So today I wanted to just take a minute to reflect and celebrate the program that is Daca. Had a lot of benefits for many people. Of course, there's been some limitations to the program, and it's unfortunately not been able to help everyone. But I want to just focus today, thankful for the people that it has helped. And one of those individuals that I've come to know is someone very special and dear. We're going to bring on today Stephanie Chaparro. She has been working with our office for the last 6 months. Let me see if I can get this done right. Oh, I'm technologically challenged, and for some reason, there we go. I did it. Yay. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
So like I was saying, Stephanie's been with our office since December of 2021. She's been working with us and helping with these cases. And Stephanie has Daca. She's a dreamer. And so I asked her to come on today with us. She actually just graduated on Monday from the University of Oregon. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, but wanted to hear from her perspective what the last 10 years of Daca has meant to her. So obviously you haven't had Daca for 10 years because you have to be at least 15 in order to qualify to get it. But tell me if you remember, do you remember when Daca was first announced and how that made you feel?
I do remember when it was first announced, but I feel like because I was so young and I hadn't reached a certain point in my life where I needed Daca to do things that more adults do, like drive and work and stuff like that, it was very in the back burner, like my status was. I wasn't really understanding of it, I think. But then I remember when DACA was announced, my parents were super stoked, like, yes, finally, finally, finally. And the second that I came of age and was able to apply for it, we did the process immediately. And once I was granted it, I remember feeling like relief, but I didn't know what that relief was because I didn't need to drive yet or didn't need to work. So I was like, okay, this is awesome, but where do I go from here? And then I started getting my permit and started applying for jobs. And as I was applying for jobs and permits and stuff like that, I realized that everything that I needed to do, I needed to have DACA for. And I think that's when I started to realize how crucial it was and being able to like live comfortably here and do everything that all my friends were doing as well without feeling excluded. And it gave me so many opportunities that I wouldn't have been able to have without it. So I just remember like it's always been like I've always been so extremely happy to have it, and it's helped me be able to apply to college and access scholarships, apply to law school, which I got accepted into, and it's been like a lifesaver these past 10 years. And I'm so grateful for the people that have made it what it is and that continue to help keep it going for other people like me as well.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever for a minute just kind of thought like what would your life, how would it be different right now today if you didn't have DACA?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Every time I'm doing something that is so, I think a lot of people that don't have DACA and just are able to renew their license every 4 years, or I don't even know how many years it is for people that don't have DACA, but it's like for me personally, I have to renew it every 2 years. And it's something that can become tedious, but then I take a step back and I'm like, this thing that takes me an extra 2 hours of my day every 2 years is something that gives me the opportunity to drive myself to the store, something that like I wouldn't have been able to do without DACA. And like there's a lot of like I feel like throughout my day when I do a lot of things, I'm always like, okay, this is because I have a status, which I'm extremely grateful for. And even things like traveling within the US, I never like before I had DACA, I never thought about it because I was so young. But it's like when all my friends are traveling and I want to go somewhere with my brother who does have status, I'm so lucky that I'm able to do so because of DACA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how do you think you mentioned that you've applied and gotten into law school? Congratulations to that. Curious to hear how that how your journey took you to law school, and what doors you think will open for you because you have DACA.
Yeah, so growing up, because of my status, obviously I have a very rocky, I always say love-hate relationship with the legal sphere. Like there's things that it does, like DACA, which has given me so many opportunities, but at the same time, there's so many like limitations that it has posed in my way. So I think like growing up, I was like, okay, I have this really extreme and complex relationship with this confusing aspect that is very like hard to understand, I believe. So it's like growing up, I was like, okay, what can I do to change the path for like other people like me? I think that's kind of what drew me into law. Because like as I do things, I'm like, I wish this was different. I wish this was different. So I think in my head, I was finding like, well, if I want things to be different, you kind of have to do them yourself. So that's kind of how I decided to get into the legal sphere. And over the past few years, I've been kind of focusing on like immigration advocacy and like taking a lot of courses in immigration rights. And this past few terms, I like created a whole brand actually for like refugees for one of my classes. It was like a mock presentation. So I really enjoyed doing that. And it's something that like I've seen what the law can do for me. And it's something that I would love to continue to change as I'm older.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. We have a question actually from Mark. I love when he comes on here to ask questions. He says, does being a DACA recipient have a time limit? Thanks for that question, Mark. So explain to us, you have DACA. How long is that valid for? What do you have to do to maintain it?
So so it's the second I've gotten it, I believe every 2 years I have to renew my license and everything like that. To maintain it, I have to have a clean record. So no past history within like incarceration or anything like that, obviously. And basically, I believe if I'm right, it's just continuing every 2 years. And I don't think there's a limit. I think you just can keep renewing it until the courts is like either takes away, which knock on wood, it doesn't happen, or like things change. But yeah, I don't think there's a limitation on it, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so no limitation right now as far as at least until there's a change in that. And speaking of that, when DACA first came out, some attorneys, friends of mine, they were concerned about what the program, whether it would continue, what might happen if it's ended. And I remember thinking, like, who would ever end DACA? Like, who would want to give status to these dreamers and then take it away? And then Trump happened. So talk to us a little bit about how you felt during the Trump administration and when all of these attacks started coming against the DACA program.
It was actually a really scary point in my life because, like I said, I got DACA, I feel like right at the perfect time where my life was like beginning and I wasn't so codependent on my parents. And so I had this like freedom, for lack of a better word, for so many years. And then once Trump came into office, my parents kind of made like a plan of like what would happen if DACA got taken away and like where we would go from there. And I came when I was 4. So being here is like, I feel like my home. It's like if I had to go back to Mexico, I don't know what I would do. I have family there, but I haven't seen them in years. I don't have a special connection to them, I guess. And I think it would just be a completely different life for me. And that's what I was thinking about when like Trump got like elected. I was like, okay, well, what if I don't see my friends again? I don't have the same opportunities in Mexico, where I'm from, that I do here. So I think it was just rethinking about like how to create a new life with as a like what if situation. Because like every day I'd be like, hypothetically, I would have to leave tomorrow. How do I create a new life in a place that is my home in a sense because I was born there, but it doesn't feel like home to me just because I've been here my whole life.
Right, exactly. And that's the argument that many people have made in support of DACA. How do you take these young kids that have basically grown up here most of their lives and send them back to a country that technically, yeah, they were born there, but they don't know it. They don't, many people don't even know the language, where they were born because they've just been so immersed in the US, going to school, learning English and all of that. So I just can't quite wrap my head around what that would be like to live with that on a daily basis of wondering, will this status be taken away? Will I be able to, continue with this or not? DACA, many people don't know this, but DACA currently does not have a pathway to citizenship, but many people use it as a springboard, you could say, to citizenship. So maybe through marriage or through employment. So maybe one of these days, Stephanie will be married to somebody and we can do her application for a green card. But there are also other options that I wanted to discuss today as well, just kind of as an alternative to DACA. And just remind everyone that here in Oregon, we have protections for special immigrant juvenile up to the age of 21. So if anyone, for example, right now, they're not accepting new applications. So anyone who didn't apply before the program was put on hold, you might be eligible for other things. So you can't apply for DACA right now. But you could apply for special immigrant juvenile if you've been abused, abandoned, or neglected by one or both your parents, and you are under the age of 21 and unmarried. So definitely check out that option and give us a call at 541-653-8899. Many people are still choosing to apply for DACA, though, even though those cases are not getting processed right now. They're also not being rejected. So those cases are on hold, but many people are choosing to put their applications in to kind of like get in line. Do you know anyone that's kind of just waiting for the DACA program to get restarted?
I personally do not, but I know a lot of people actually in my own life that are eligible for DACA, but they never applied for it just because they thought it would be too much of like a lengthy process, which is a real bummer because, like I said, it does give you amazing opportunities. But I think a lot of the times people don't know, like, I think it's just important to go to like an attorney and hear your options because a lot of the times people just go based off what they're hearing on the news. And I believe it like shies them away from getting DACA or going through the whole process. But yeah, I personally don't know anyone that is like on hold throughout their application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk with people all the time that are, in their 20s or their 30s even who are eligible and would have been eligible for DACA before the program went on hold. And they just never got around to it, or maybe they didn't finish high school, so they thought that they weren't eligible for it. So just to kind of review the requirements, you had to have been in the U.S. before June 15th, 2007. You had to have been under the age of 16 when you entered the US. You have to have a clear criminal history, or, there's some room there if there's some minor infractions. You had to have finished high school or gotten a GED or be in a GED program or the military. So there's some options there. And that's, I think, that the point where many people get confused. They think, well, I'm in my 30s now. I never graduated high school. I never got my GED. There's still an option to get into a program and do that program and qualify that way. And so then many people could still apply now, just their application will be on hold until we hear more news. So Stephanie, we've been talking with you today because you have DACA. I want to kind of swing back to some of the topics that we were talking about before about law school and your hopes and your dreams. If you could wave a magic wand and create a perfect world for dreamers like you, what would that look like?
I think the easy answer is status. I think a lot of the times, it's like I said, a lot of the people that have DACA because they came here really young, and it's people that have kept clean records that used their DACA status for positive things like employment. And a lot of the times DACA recipients are your doctors, your attorneys, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. So I think if I could just do one quick thing, it would just be able to give DACA recipients status, because I think since it's been active for 10 years, and a lot of people that maybe don't have it up to 10 years or 5 or whatever it is have proven that they're contributing positively to society. And I think it would just be amazing for them to finally receive their status and be able to do more with what they already have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for younger kids too, kids that came here after 2007, didn't meet that cutoff. Maybe they weren't even born before 2007, and now they're what is that? They're 14 now. They're getting ready to need to be able to work and continue with their studies, and just this sense kind of what's my purpose? What's my plan here in the US? Am I going to be able to fulfill my dreams of higher education or of the type of work that I want to do because I don't have status? So many of those things are just on hold right now. What would you say to somebody who argues well, we can't just give all these kids status? That's just help. That's just encouraging their parents to bring them here. They should do it the right way. What would you say to someone who presents that argument?
Well, when someone says they should do it the right way, a lot of the times when people immigrate over here, it's not because they're looking to do something the wrong way. It just, life happens. A lot of the times when they're coming from Mexico or other places in the world, they don't want to leave their families. They don't want to leave the life that they've known for so long. They're coming here because they're put in these circumstances that they have no other opportunity and no other chances where they're from. For example, where I'm from, I came from a really small town in Mexico. There's no job opportunities, no education opportunities. And I know that if I would have stayed, I wouldn't have been able to get an education. And so I'm so beyond grateful that my parents brought me here, and I am now able to go to law school, which is something that they never even thought possible. So I would just say it's not encouraging people just to bring their kids over here young. I think it's giving status to those who already have DACA. It's I feel even if you were to remove DACA, the people that have it aren't just going to leave immediately. This is our home, and we've created a community here. We create relationships here. We help people. There's so many doctors that I know that are DACA recipients. So I think it's just you're not helping anyone or sending anyone back if you just remove DACA. I think people will find a way to continue to make this their home, because that's what I've known for the past 15 years of my life and more plus that.
Yeah, exactly. It would create just a huge mess. How do you begin to mass deport, and the worst group of people that you could deport, the most people that you want to stay here. And yes. People are always they work and, they pay taxes and everything. So it just always kind of boggles my mind, people that make those arguments. But I think behind that is, just a lot of misinformation about immigrants and about immigration, the process. And so that's why we try to put out good information here and educate and so that people can make better opinions and more factual opinions. Just want to remind everyone that today we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Daca. So looking back 10 years ago, did anyone believe or think or imagine that we would be in the state where we are at, where there's so many lawsuits ongoing, both for and against Daca? Now we're waiting for final regulations to come out. Those were proposed in the fall. And there's, a lot of concern about what's going to happen to new applications or even to renewals. Right now, those that have DACA are able to renew it. I get a lot of questions about advanced parole. So that's a way to travel and return legally. That is still ongoing for now, for those that have DACA. So if you have thought about traveling, if you have a reason or a need to travel, that, like we were saying earlier, is a way to use that later as a springboard towards residency and then citizenship, using that as a legal entry. So contact us today if you have any questions about advanced parole or DACA renewal, or even if you think you might qualify for an original application. Like I was saying earlier, they are accepting those applications. They're just not processing them. So we're encouraging people to get in line because we are hopeful that the program will begin again. So you can call us at 541-653-8899. So Stephanie, you worked with us for about the last 6 months. You just graduated and you're moving on to law school. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like, your experience here at Molina Law Group, working with our clients and other maybe DACA recipients or immigrants.
It was amazing. I honestly didn't know what to expect coming into it, because I hadn't had much experience within immigration, like working in an immigration law firm. But coming there, I was exposed to so much. I was able to review a lot of files from clients and just understand the immigration system a little bit better, even though it's extremely confusing. And even being a DACA recipient myself, I was able to help you redeem a DACA, which is an awesome experience for me. I was able to help people to renew theirs. And it was just overall I think what I most enjoyed about working there is, even though immigration can be a very sensitive topic, we all kind of work cohesively together and are able to be hopeful throughout it. And I think that's something that I enjoyed, making a sensitive topic hopeful was really amazing.
Yeah, bringing hope, because that's a really good topic, because so many people, especially with the uncertainty of DACA, is there hope? Can we do something? And having also alternative options. One thing that I was just thinking about for you actually is that Mexico and the US have a special visa, trade NAFTA visa, and attorneys are one of those categories. So you might be able in the future to, have other options. And I think that that's something that people should keep in mind. And that was one thing that we started to really communicate during the Trump administration was, we see now that the DACA program can come under attack and it might not be a forever program. And so knowing what those alternative options are is so important, through marriage or through employment. Obviously, we don't want you to go and get married right away, because we want you to be able to pursue what you have planned for law school and everything. But knowing what some other alternative options are is always important. So we had a question from Mark, actually. And if anyone else has any questions that's watching, feel free to put them in the comments and we can answer those. Mark says, if there's no pathway to citizenship through DACA, what are the benefits of DACA that might be known? Let's just start by, the non-immigration related benefits. What are some of the benefits you've seen? You've touched on a couple of them, but just to kind of review and summarize those things, what have been the benefits in your personal life, Stephanie, having DACA?
Oh, it's little things like even being able to drive a car. That's something that you need to show proof of. And that's something that I've been able to do. Or applying for work. I always need to have an employment authorization card to work legally here in the US. And I didn't realize as I was younger that I might need to work to pay my bills and stuff like that. And so having DACA has allowed me to work and be able to support myself. And things like even traveling have helped me as well with DACA. So there's a lot of benefits, not even just being able to be here legally at the moment, but just being able to live all of my other friends and anyone else with status, with a few tweaks here and there, of course. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Even just being able to like get, like you're saying, to travel in the US without any fear, or, you know, go to the store.
Mhm.
It's not very common in our area, but there can be some immigration raids from time to time at different places of employment or at different locations. Or you might just be like, you know, in the car with some friends and the police pull you over and then you get arrested and then you get to ICE contact. And so little things like that that can become big things if you don't have status, you know, being able to walk around without that fear of, am I going to get picked up? Am I going to get deported? Like, what's going to happen? So I think those are a lot of the kind of intangible benefits, you might say, of having status, having DACA, is being able to maybe sleep better at night, or just being able to make plans for the future, for your education, for your employment, things like that. Are some of the benefits. But then, of course, you know, having the benefit of status that might in the future lead to something else. We've seen legislation trying to be passed that would lead to a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers. Still struggling with that. We don't know what the future of that will be. But like we were saying, there's many other ways to get to citizenship using DACA as that springboard. So we are talking today about the 10th anniversary for DACA. Just a reminder that DACA is still ongoing for those who are eligible to renew. They're also still receiving initial applications. They're currently not processing them because of a court order, but we're hopeful that that might be reversed soon, or that the new DACA regulations will come out soon and reopen that program. So we're encouraging people to file their DACA applications and get in line. Stephanie, is there anything else that you would like to add today, just to those maybe who are waiting for the DACA program, some words of encouragement to them, or to those that are considering law? Any kind of final parting words that you might want to share with us?
I would just say to like future other DACA recipients, just like stay hopeful for like change. That's kind of what I've been doing, because even though DACA doesn't provide status at the moment, I'm always hopeful that like it will change in the future. Advocate for yourself, advocate for your community, and just really appreciate that those that have DACA really appreciate that you have it, and do the most with it, because it's not an opportunity that a lot of people have if they came at a certain age. So just appreciate what you have and do what you can with it.
Amen. Well said. I agree. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for being with us today. It was an honor and a joy to have you working with us the last 6 months. We're so excited to see where you're going to go with law school, and just congratulations for finishing at the University of Oregon, pushing through. And we know that you're going to do amazing, amazing things. And thanks for sharing your DACA journey. You're just an amazing dreamer, and we're so blessed to know you. So thanks again. Thanks to everyone for watching. And please feel free to share this video and pass it around so that we can make sure that everyone knows the latest on DACA. And go out and, like, I don't know, do something to celebrate the DACA anniversary. I remember, I think it was, I think a couple of years ago, we have a picture on Facebook with us eating blizzards. I think
I love that.
I
feel like I need to buy myself a cake. Like,
exactly.
happy anniversary.
Go celebrate, go do something, and let's all keep the hope, like Stephanie's saying, for a better tomorrow and for more options for dreamers in the future. Thanks for being with us, and we will talk to you again very soon. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Stephanie. Bye.